Hey guys.
Hi.
Hi.
We're going to talk about borrowed chords today.
All right.
Borrowed chords are, so if you take your major key, these are all the chord functions in major, right?
Yeah.
This is just a fun way to spice up some of your chord progressions. So what we can do is we can borrow some chords from the opposite mode. So let's say we were in major, and we could have, say, like a minor 4 major and borrow it from the minor key. Or maybe a minor 5. And I'm about to show you an example of where you would hear a minor 5 using the flat 7 that is borrowed from the major key. Okay. So this song is in the key of D. Okay.
What song was it?
It is called 1,000 Times by Sarah Bareilles.
I knew it
Okay, so I'll point it out. It's pretty jarring. You'll be able to hear it. It comes right after a 1 chord. So here's the 1 chord. Right here. And right back to 1. So that's a fun way to sort of mix something up. The normal progression she plays is D major, A, which is normally 5, and then she goes to 2. Okay, but this time she goes to change the along. So, do you hear that resolve? You can hear the D falling to a C natural.
Flat 2?
It's flat 7,
Oh, okay.
so D, C.
Sorry, sometimes
Well, it's a flat 7 chord.
No, it is a minor 5 chord, which features what scale to reach? 7, 5,
Oh, the
7.
flat 7, and
Right,
yeah.
So, yeah, exactly. Borrowed chords can also be referred to as mode mixture, and that makes sense because we are mixing between major and minor modes, right? And we're talking parallel modes. So if we had D major in the song or D minor, so we're just borrowing straight from the parallel minor key. And mode mixture is a little bit ambiguous at times. I'll show you exactly why. Sometimes your ears hear one thing, but the melody might tell you something different, or your analysis and looking at it might tell you something different. So I'm sure you've all heard this song, but I will play a little excerpt from it. Right, that's Sweet Home Alabama. Does everybody know that song?
Yeah.
Okay, so at first it would appear that the song is in the key of D. And then the first thing we get right off the bat after that D chord is a C major. It's actually C9. And for all intents and purposes, it's C major. So, what scale degree is C natural in the key of D?
Flat 7.
It's a flat 7, exactly right. So, that chord progression appears to be this. Yes, sir.
Why would it not just be in G starting on 5?
Exactly, and that's
I
where
agree.
we're going with this. That's a great point. So, let's see. If we assume that the first chord we hear, D, is 1, the next chord, in theory, should be flat major 7. That's because we have a C chord C, natural, G, and E. Okay. So. Yes. And then it goes straight to G chord, which is 4 in the key of D, right? But some people might also look at this and say, well, hang on a minute, this is a 5 chord. This is 4.
4.
Yes. And this is 1. Yeah, you guys are better at this one. So there's some ambiguity there, and the reason I think personally that it's got the flat 7 is because I hear D as the tonic in that chord. The melody seems to center around D. Yes?
5 doesn't ever go to 4, does it? Would that make the top one make more sense too?
It might, but a lot of times in pop music, you'll hear it 5 go a lot of really strange places that you don't hear in classical music, and that's why it's important to study something like this that's sort of outside of your comfort zone. Now, in classical music, we hear some borrowed chords occasionally, but they are really, really utilized heavily in songwriting. For example, one of my favorite things is when you have a minor 4 chord and a major key. So let's say we're in E major. So what's the 4 chord in E major? A, right. So if we wanted to borrow a 4 chord from the minor key, what kind of chord would A minor or A be?
A minor.
Exactly so.
Ooh.
It's so sad.
Yeah.
Couldn't they just be passing tones or something though? Why are you calling it a chord?
Yeah, and that's, again, we're getting into the ambiguity of it. So you have do, me, mi, sol, then you would go fa, la, do. What's the solfege for minor 4?
Ballet.
Ballet.
Ballet do, exactly. Ballet do. And then, well, if we spell this a little differently, go sol, mi. You have this right here is just a half step down each way, down to sol. So you could see it as maybe a passing tone, but yes.
So do you have to go to the major chord first and then switch to the other
Not
mode?
necessarily.
Okay, so I could just go like if I was singing the middle line there, I could go, or like going from sol to lay back to sol would be okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
But I've heard it that way a lot.
Yeah.
'Cause it's like people want to
Yeah, that's
establish it, and then they're like, but it's
Sure.
sad.
Yeah. And, yeah, that's, especially with 4 is sort of special in that regard. A lot of times you'll hear a chord go straight to the borrowed chord, but with 4, they always seem to go la, re, sol, like that.
Cool.
Step it down.
Just for that line.
Amy, did you have a question?
My question was Caleb's
Oh,
question.
good. Perfect.
Chromaticism.
Can we, it's bothering me that those 2 progressions of Sweet Home Alabama, which one's better? Can we sing it or something so I can
yeah.
hold the dough while you play it?
Yeah, sure, that'd be fine. So,
Because I'm curious to what Mandy thinks.
so,
So let's go. All right.
here's do. All right, so sing do, mi, sol, mi, do. Ready, go. Do, mi, sol, mi, do. All right, now sing do down to te. Do, te. Let's sing te, re, fa.
It's hard.
Yeah, te,
Re, fa, re,
Good, yeah, and now sing te, la, sol. Ready, go.
te, la, sol,
Fa.
fa.
Yes, fa. Now sing fa, la, do. Ready, have. Yeah, it might. Now let's sing it with the D chord as 5. See how that sounds. What do you guys feel more? So what note was
Re, ti, sol, fa, la, do, la, fa, do, mi, sol, mi, do. Sol, ti, re, ti, sol.
Good.
Fa, do, la, fa, do, mi, sol, mi, do.
one more time?
Sol, ti, re, ti, sol. Fa, la, do, la,
So
fa.
1 6 chord down to me.
Mi, sol, do, sol, mi.
Alright, great.
So Alan,
Yes.
do we have to be smooth here? Because it's a pop song.
It would be as helpful to sing it, especially for our purposes if we're singing solfege. It would help to be smooth here.
Do the chords have to be smooth?
Uh,
Do we have to look for smooth progression?
I don't know. Again, you have 5 to 4, so in
So it's not really smooth.
yeah, it's
Either
not
way.
real smooth. But our eyes are so, or our ears are so adjusted to hearing it from pop music that I think it's okay.
It works either way.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
I'm still confused on which one is right. Because it was easier for us to sing the second one,
Yeah.
but it didn't sound final.
Yeah. The solfege sounded a little strange singing it that way. It did sound more like D was do instead of sol. So
Because when we did it, the top one, it sounded like it wanted to go back to
yeah.
the D again.
Yeah. Exactly.
Do you think if we listen to the whole song sometime, we find other things?
You might, yeah. And there's lots of different stuff. The vocal melody certainly implies D, but when you get to guitar solo, for example, there's more of a G hint, which would
Ah.
suggest the second. But
But guitars are kind of just funky.
they're a little funky. Getting back to which one is right, I don't think there's necessarily a perfect answer for this. And
What would be on the test?
I would say that if it was a test about borrowed chords, you want to use this one, right? Because you have the borrowed chord in it.
Could we just pick one and defend it, and you'd be fine with that?
Yeah, I absolutely would. I think I could see an argument for both cases.
Why do I have to put a flat in front of that 7? Why can't I just have a major 7?
So if we're borrowing this chord from the minor key, right? Sometimes we do have a raised 7th scale degree, but in natural minor, what is the 7th? Is it flat or is it raised?
Flat.
Right, okay. So this time, if we borrowed this chord with a raised scale degree like a C sharp from the minor mode, what does that make this chord? Diminished, right? And we already have it diminished in a major key. So, I think I guess you could look at it that way, but.
Could you technically borrow a fully diminished, even though the major has a half diminished?
Yeah, and I didn't even totally write that because we're just looking at triads here, but if you were using 7th chords, you could borrow a fully diminished.
So that would be borrowed, not just like an altered note?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.